Have you ever noticed how the heaviest things we carry are often the things that never actually happened? What if the pain you feel today is not just about a promise that was broken, but about an imagined future you are still desperately trying to protect? If you have ever felt stuck, betrayed, or emotionally exhausted, waiting for a reality that never arrived, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. We build entire worlds in our minds based on a few spoken words. We construct our tomorrows, our sense of security, and our peace on the fragile foundation of a promise. When someone looks at us and guarantees an outcome, we begin to live in that future before it even arrives. When that promise is broken, we do not just lose a relationship, a job, or a moment in time. We lose the future we had already mapped out in our hearts, and so we stay there. We wander the empty rooms of a life that will never exist, wondering what we did wrong to make it disappear. You replay the conversation. You try to find the exact moment the truth turned into a lie. You wait for an apology, or a reversal, or a sudden change of heart that never comes. You let the ghost of what should have been haunt what actually is. Buddhist wisdom teaches us a difficult but profoundly liberating truth. Much of our suffering comes not from the changing nature of life, but from our refusal to accept that it has changed. In Buddhist thought, attachment is not just holding on to physical things or people. It is holding on to outcomes. It is clinging to the script we wrote for our lives and refusing to let it go even after the pages have been torn. Imagine a traveler who is given a map and promised a beautiful, peaceful destination. They walk for miles, trusting the directions completely. But halfway there, the path collapses. The bridge over a deep river is completely washed away. There is no way forward. But instead of turning around, instead of finding a new route, the traveler sits at the edge of the broken bridge, staring at the map. Days pass. The seasons change. New, unexpected paths open in the forest behind them. Other travelers walk past, but the traveler sees none of it. They sit in the dirt, holding the map, arguing with reality, demanding that the bridge rebuild itself because the map promised it would be there. This is what happens when we anchor our lives to a broken promise. Maybe someone promised to stay, and they left. Maybe an opportunity was guaranteed, and it fell through at the last second. You are holding the map. You are staring at the broken bridge, waiting for a reality that is no longer there, allowing a broken word to dictate your steps. Ask yourself, are you grieving the reality of the person who broke the promise, or are you mourning the beautiful illusion they handed you? What are you afraid will happen if you finally put the map down? Pause, breathe. Observe the heavy feeling of disappointment without making it your forever home. Let the sadness rise. Let the anger exist, but do not let them become your identity. Do not let someone else's broken word become your broken life. Because peace is not something you chase, it is something you make space for when you stop fighting the reality of this moment. A broken promise is painful, but holding onto it as if it still controls your destiny is a self-imposed prison. But letting go of that imagined future is only the first step. To truly break free, we must look at why we trusted the map so deeply in the first place, and this is where the next truth begins. 2. The illusion of certainty. Here is a truth few people want to face. What if the thing that shattered was not your life, but your illusion that life could be controlled? We constantly seek guarantees in a world that owes us none. When someone makes a promise, we treat it like a shield against the unknown. We wrap ourselves in their words. We relax. We stop bracing for impact. We finally feel safe. And when that promise is broken, when a partner suddenly walks away, when a loyal friend turns into a stranger, when a secure path vanishes without a warning, we feel a profound and agonizing betrayal. But often, we do not just feel betrayed by the person, we feel betrayed by life itself. We feel as though the solid ground has been unfairly pulled from beneath our feet. You obsess over the contradiction. You ask yourself over and over, how could they say one thing and do another? How could they look me in the eye and guarantee a future they were not prepared to build? Buddhist wisdom teaches that everything in this world is subject to change. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the reality of impermanence. No condition is permanent. Not our joy, not our sorrow, and certainly not the words spoken by another human being. A promise is merely an intention expressed in a single passing moment. It is a snapshot of how someone felt on a particular day. It is not a permanent law of the universe. To expect life to remain perfectly frozen just because someone gave you their word is to fight against the very nature of existence. Imagine trying to hold water in your bare hands. If you gently cup your palms, the water rests there, cool and clear. You can appreciate it. You can feel its weight. But the moment you become afraid of losing it, the moment you panic and squeeze your hands tight to lock it in, the water immediately slips through your clenched fingers. The harder you grip, the faster it escapes into the dry earth. You cannot force water to stay by demanding it. You cannot bind it to your will. We do this with our lives. We do this with our relationships and our deeply held plans. We squeeze tight. We demand that the future look exactly as it was promised on that one perfect day. And when people change, because people are like water, constantly shifting and flowing, we are left with empty hands. We stare at our clenched fists in anger and despair. We feel destroyed, not necessarily because the water left, but because we truly believed our tight grip could force it to stay. Think about your own life. Are you suffering because a promise was broken, or because you demanded that a fleeting moment become permanent? What would happen if you accepted that people, just like the weather, change without your permission? Pause, breathe. Look at where you are gripping the hardest. Unclench your hands. Let the expectation dissolve. You are not powerless. You simply need to stop trying to hold the river in your palms. You do not have to like that the promise was broken. You do not have to pretend it did not hurt. But you must recognize that demanding certainty from an uncertain world is what keeps you trapped in the pain. Letting go of the illusion of control brings us strange, quiet freedom. But even when we understand this, the heart still rebels. Even when we know the water is gone, our minds still wander back to the one who spilled it. We still wait for an explanation that will never arrive. And this is where the next truth begins. 3. Why we cling to the broken word. What if the hardest part of letting go is not losing the situation, but losing the version of yourself you were promised? When someone breaks a vow, we often obsess over the exact words they used. We reread old messages late at night. We replay the quiet conversations where they promised to stay, to build a life with us, to never let us down. We treat their broken word like a binding contract that we can somehow enforce if we just argue hard enough. We think, but you looked me in the eyes and said this. We believe that, if we just remind them of their promise, if we can just prove that they were wrong, reality will magically snap back into place. We cling to the broken word because letting it go feels like erasing our own history. It feels like admitting we were foolish to trust at all. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the mind creates deep suffering when it refuses to live in the present moment. We attach ourselves to a memory, to a ghost of a conversation, and we demand that this ghost dictate our current reality. This is the painful nature of attachment. It is not just about missing a person or an opportunity. It is about our desperate need for the world to be fair. Buddhism reminds us that clinging to a past promise is like trying to drink from a dry well. It does not matter how many times you lower the bucket, it will not quench your thirst today. Imagine a heavy, violent storm has passed through a quiet forest. A massive tree has been uprooted and has crashed directly across your path, completely blocking the way forward. The reality is undeniable. The tree is heavy and immovable. But instead of finding a new way around it, you stand in front of the fallen trunk, holding a tiny, fragile seed. You keep looking at the seed and then at the broken tree, arguing with the wind. You say, "But I was given this seed. It was promised to grow straight and tall. It was not supposed to fall and ruin my path." You hold the tiny seed of that original promise, refusing to acknowledge the massive reality that is currently blocking your life. You spend your days mourning the seed, while the rest of the forest continues to grow all around you. This is exactly what we do when we are ignored, rejected, or left behind. Someone tells you they are committed, but their daily actions show they are already gone. A situation that was supposed to be safe suddenly becomes painful. You stand there holding the seed, the memory of their sweet words, while completely ignoring the giant fallen tree of their actual behavior. You allow a fading echo from the past to blind you to the heavy truth of the present. Ask yourself, are you listening to what they promised yesterday, or are you looking at what they are actively doing today? What are you still holding on to? Is clinging to their old words bringing you peace, or is it feeding your fear of moving forward? Stop, breathe. You do not need to figure it all out today. Just let the past belong to the past. Bring your attention back to what is actually happening right now. Do not fight the fallen tree. Accept that it is there. Because the truth is, a broken promise does not have the power to trap you. Only your refusal to accept the present moment can do that. But stepping away from the fallen tree requires us to face a very specific kind of pain. We must confront the terrible silence of the path we can no longer walk. And this is where the next truth begins. 4. The suffering of the locked door. What if the reason you cannot move forward is not because the door is locked, but because you refuse to stop turning the handle? When a promise is broken and a future is suddenly taken away, we often react by trying to force it back into existence. We text someone who has gone completely silent. We wait for an apology that is never going to be sent. We beg for closure. We try to negotiate with reality, thinking that if we just say the right words, if we just prove how much we are hurting, or if we change ourselves enough, the situation will magically reverse. We stand in front of a relationship or an opportunity that has clearly ended, completely refusing to walk away. The rejection feels so unbearable that we pour all our remaining energy into trying to fix something that is already finished. Buddhist wisdom teaches us about the profound pain of resistance. Suffering is not just the initial sting of an event, it is the intense, lingering friction caused by our absolute refusal to accept that event. When we fight the reality of what is, we multiply our own pain. In Buddhism, the practice of non-attachment is not about giving up in bitter defeat. It is about recognizing when a cycle is complete. It is having the quiet wisdom to stop pulling against a rope that is anchored to a solid stone wall. Imagine standing in a long, quiet hallway. You walk up to a specific door that you were promised would always be open to you. You reach for the handle, but it will not turn. It is firmly locked from the inside. At first, you knock gently, then you knock louder. Hours pass, then days. You rattle the cold brass handle until your hands are bruised and exhausted. You sink to the floor, leaning your back against the heavy wood, crying, waiting, listening desperately for footsteps on the other side. You spend all your time, all your energy, facing this one closed door. But in doing so, your back is completely turned to the rest of the hallway. You never see the other doors silently opening behind you. You never notice the warm light spilling into the corridor from a completely different room. This is what we do when we cannot accept a broken promise. We stare at a blocked path. We obsess over a partner who chose to lock us out, or a friend who decided to walk away. We measure our self-worth by whether or not they will ever open the door again. We let the terrible silence from the other side dictate our value, completely blind to the vast, beautiful life that is still waiting for us just down the hall. Think about your own life. Who or what are you still knocking for? Are you staying at a locked door because you truly want what is behind it, or simply because you cannot stand the fact that it was closed without your permission? Pause, breathe, step back from the door. You do not have to force it open. You do not have to break it down. Stop trying to enter spaces where you are no longer welcome. Peace is found the moment you release the handle, turn around, and face the open hallway. But turning away from the closed door means you must finally confront the heavy sadness of what you are leaving behind. And this is where the next truth begins. 5. Grieving what never arrived. What if the most painful tears to shed are not for what was taken from you, but for what you were promised you would finally have? When a promise is broken, a very strange and silent type of grief begins. You are not just mourning the person who left or the opportunity that vanished. You are mourning the quiet Sunday mornings you visualized. You are mourning the safety you thought you had finally secured. You are grieving the home you had already built in your mind. Often society does not understand this pain. We are told to move on, to get over it, because technically that future never existed. But to your heart, it was completely real. You lived in it. And now you feel foolish for crying over a ghost. You try to suppress the sadness, telling yourself you have no right to grieve a fantasy. Buddhist wisdom teaches us a compassionate lesson about the nature of our minds. We suffer because our thoughts effortlessly leave the present moment and take up permanent residence in a future that has not yet happened. We suffer when reality pulls us violently back to the present. Buddhism reminds us that while we must practice non-attachment, we must also practice deep compassion for our own human hearts. Acknowledging that you are hurting over an illusion is not a weakness. It is a necessary step of acceptance. You cannot let go of a future until you allow yourself to grieve that it will never arrive. Imagine a dedicated gardener who is given a rare, beautiful seed. They are told it will grow into a massive, magnificent tree that will provide peace and cool shade for the rest of their life. The gardener carefully prepares the soil. They water the ground daily. They look at the empty patch of dirt and smile, already visualizing the grand branches reaching into the sky. But one night, a bitter, unexpected frost ruins the earth. The seed dies before it ever breaks the surface. The gardener falls to their knees and weeps. They are not crying over a tiny, invisible speck in the dirt. They are crying over the empty sky. They are mourning the heavy, beautiful branches that will never grow, and the gentle shade they will never get to rest in. This is exactly how it feels when someone suddenly takes back their word. You invested your trust, your time, and your quietest hopes. You planted the seed of their promise in the center of your life. When they walk away, they leave you staring at an empty patch of earth. You are left feeling angry and empty, wondering why you ever believed the branches would grow. Ask yourself, are you harshly judging yourself for hurting so deeply over a future that never came to be? What if you gave yourself permission to simply be sad that the sky is empty? Pause, breathe, acknowledge the invisible loss. You are allowed to mourn the dream. Let the heavy feeling rise without rushing to fix it or explain it away. Because healing begins the moment you stop telling yourself how you should feel and start making quiet space for how you actually feel. Grieving the illusion is how you finally wash it out of your heart. But as the grief slowly clears, it often leaves behind a sharp, lingering doubt about your own value. And this is where the next truth begins. 6. Separating your worth from their action. What if their inability to keep a promise says absolutely everything about where they are in their own journey, and absolutely nothing about your value? When someone breaks their word, our immediate instinct is to look inward for the blame. We silently ask, what is wrong with me? Was I not enough? If I had just been more patient, more understanding, or more perfect, would they have stayed? We take their broken promise and wear it as a heavy cloak of our own inadequacy. We replay old conversations, desperately searching for the exact moment we made a mistake. We allow the failure of their commitment to become the ultimate measure of our self-worth. We begin to believe that because we were left behind, we must be inherently broken. Buddhist wisdom teaches a beautiful and grounding truth about human behavior. Every individual walks entirely on the path of their own understanding, driven by their own fears, confusions, and attachments. When someone acts, when they lie, when they leave, or when they break a vow, they are acting strictly from their own level of awareness. In Buddhism, your true nature is inherently whole and untouched by the chaotic actions of the external world. To believe that someone else's broken word diminishes your worth is to misunderstand the deeply independent nature of your own inner light. Imagine a deep, still lake reflecting a brilliant, clear sky. For a long time, the surface is perfectly calm. Then, a sudden, violent storm rolls in. Heavy, dark clouds block the light, and violent winds whip the surface of the water into chaotic, muddy waves. The reflection is completely broken, but the lake itself has not lost a single drop of its depth. The muddy, turbulent surface is merely a reaction to the weather passing above it. The storm did not ruin the lake. It simply obscured its stillness for a passing moment. This is what happens when someone breaks a profound promise to you. Their confusion, their fear, and their sudden inability to commit are the storm. You are the lake. When they withdraw their presence or cancel a future they guaranteed, they agitate the surface of your life. But they do not take your depth away. You are not less valuable because someone else did not know how to calm their own winds. You are not broken because someone else lacked the strength to weather the storm with you. Their departure is a reflection of their own weather, not a judgment of your water. Think about your own life. Have you been carrying the heavy burden of their failure? Are you using someone else's broken promise as solid proof that you are fundamentally unlovable? Pause. Breathe. Stop trying to find your reflection in their muddy water. Let the painful feeling of rejection rise. Let it exist, but do not make it your identity. You do not have to abandon yourself just because someone else walked away. Because peace is not found by finally convincing someone of your worth. It is found when you realize your worth was never up for negotiation in the first place. But recognizing your own value is only part of the journey. Once you see that you are still whole, you must face the reality of the empty space they left behind. And this is where the next truth begins. 7. The power of accepting what is. Here is a truth that is incredibly difficult to swallow. What if the deepest exhaustion you feel right now is not actually from the heartbreak itself, but from the immense, quiet energy it takes to constantly fight reality? When our lives take an unexpected and painful turn, our first instinct is absolute denial. We argue with time. We repeat to ourselves, "This was not supposed to happen." We wake up every morning, and for a split second, we forget that the promise was broken. Then, the heavy truth crashes over us all over again. We spend our days silently negotiating with the universe, trying to mentally push the heavy boulder back up the hill. We believe that if we just analyze the past enough, if we just stay angry enough, or if we refuse to accept the change, we can somehow force life to go back to the way it was. We live in a state of constant, bitter resistance. Buddhist wisdom teaches a profound lesson about the nature of our pain. There is a classic teaching about the two arrows. The first arrow is the actual event, the unexpected change, the departure, the broken word. This arrow is painful, but it is a natural part of being alive. The second arrow, however, is our reaction to it. It is our absolute refusal to accept what happened. It is our endless questioning of why, our anger, and our desperate resistance to the truth. We cannot always control the first arrow, but we are the ones who continuously stab ourselves with the second. Suffering is simply pain multiplied by resistance. Imagine standing waist-deep in a powerful, fast-moving river. The water is freezing, and the current is rushing heavily downstream. Instead of flowing with the water or slowly walking toward the shore, you plant your feet firmly in the mud. You put your hands out and try to push the water backward. You scream at the river, demanding that it flow in the opposite direction because that is what the map promised you. But the river does not care. It continues to flow. The longer you push against it, the more battered, frozen, and completely exhausted you become. The river is not hurting you. Your refusal to move with it is what is destroying your strength. This is exactly what we do when we refuse to accept a broken promise. We stand in the freezing current of someone else's absence or a lost opportunity, and we try to push reality backward. We exhaust our minds and our hearts trying to reverse an event that has already passed. We blame the river, blind to the fact that we are the ones choosing to stand in the freezing water and fight it. Ask yourself, are you drowning because the river of your life is truly too deep, or because you are using all your remaining strength to fight the current? What would happen if you simply stopped pushing back? Pause, breathe, drop the resistance, say quietly to yourself, "This happened, and I cannot change it." Let the heavy reality settle into the room without trying to fix it, run from it, or fight it. Because true peace begins the exact moment you surrender to the truth of your life, as it is today. You do not have to like the current, but you must stop demanding that it flow backward. But accepting the present means you must also let go of the beautiful, fictional story you keep telling yourself about the future. And this is where the next truth begins. 8. Releasing the script of your life. What if the hardest thing to let go of is not the person who made the promise, but the story you wrote about who you would be once that promise was fulfilled? We are all desperate storytellers. From the moment we are given a guarantee, whether it is a deep commitment in a relationship, a secure career path, or a simple promise of safety, we immediately begin writing the script of our future. We decide how the next 5 years will look. We plan the quiet moments. We lock in the ending. We build an entire identity around this one specific narrative. And when that promise is unexpectedly broken, it is not just a loss. It is an identity crisis. You are suddenly left standing on a stage with no lines, no direction, and no idea what happens in the next act. You feel completely lost, so you keep clinging to the ruined script, desperately trying to force reality to match the story you had already written in your head. Buddhist wisdom teaches that one of our greatest sources of suffering is our deep attachment to our own concepts. We suffer because we believe life is a fixed story we get to author and control, rather than a flowing reality we are simply meant to experience. In Buddhist thought, the universe is vast, unwritten, and constantly unfolding. When we stubbornly demand that our lives follow a rigid, predetermined script, we blind ourselves to the profound reality of what is actually happening. We trap our own vast potential inside a very small, very fragile story. Imagine walking onto a wide, beautiful beach at low tide. With a heavy stick, you carefully carve a long, detailed story into the wet sand. You write out all your plans, your hopes, and the exact promises you were given. You step back and admire how perfectly it reads. But the nature of the ocean is to rise. The tide eventually comes in, and the quiet water effortlessly washes over your words, wiping the sand completely blank. Instead of looking up at the beautiful open horizon or walking further down the long shore, you fall to your knees. You claw at the wet sand. You cry over the erased words, silently demanding that the ocean put your story back exactly the way you wrote it. This is what we do when we cannot let go of an imagined future. We obsess over the timeline we thought we were supposed to follow. We tell ourselves we should have been settled by now. We should have been loved by now. We should have been safe. We sit in the wet sand of our own ruined expectations, completely refusing to look at the vast, open ocean of possibilities still right in front of us. We let the loss of one single story prevent us from living the rest of our lives. Ask yourself, are you truly suffering because your present moment is unbearable, or are you suffering simply because life is no longer following the exact script you wrote? What if the blank sand is not a tragedy, but an absolute invitation? Pause, breathe. Look at the ruined script in your hands. Now, gently put it down. You do not need to know the ending yet. Stop trying to read words that are no longer there, because true freedom is found the moment you realize you are not the script. You are the space where the story happens. You can survive the loss of the narrative. But dropping the script is only the preparation for the final step. To truly heal, you must step out of the empty room entirely, and this is where the final truth begins. 9. Walking free from the prison of the past. We began this journey by looking at the heavy ghost of the imagined future. You have been sitting in the empty rooms of a life that was promised but never arrived, holding a map to a bridge that washed away. You have been mourning a reality that was deeply guaranteed to you, silently waiting for the universe to correct the mistake. You treated their broken word as if it held the absolute power to dictate the rest of your life. But what if stepping out of that empty room is not a betrayal of what you lost, but the ultimate act of respect for what you still have? Buddhist wisdom reminds us that true freedom is never found by forcing the world to match our deeply held desires. It is found in our ability to walk gracefully through a world that is constantly changing. Non-attachment is not about becoming cold or forgetting the people who hurt you, or pretending that a broken promise did not break your heart. It is about deep, radical acceptance. It is the profound realization that you do not have to let a single disappointed hope become the heavy stone that sinks the rest of your life. We have looked at the locked door, the freezing river, the stormy lake, and the erased sand. All of these point to one simple, undeniable truth. You cannot control the weather, the water, or the words of other human beings. You can only control whether you choose to keep standing in the freezing current, or if you finally take a deep breath, forgive yourself for trusting the illusion, and gently walk back to the warm shore. The person who broke their promise to you was only a single, temporary chapter in the vast, unfolding book of your life. They do not get to write your ending unless you willingly hand them the pen. You have spent enough time honoring the ghost of what should have been. You have spent enough energy knocking on a door that is firmly locked from the inside. The empty room you are sitting in is not a punishment. It is a cleared space. It is a quiet sanctuary where you can finally sit in peace and meet yourself again, without the heavy, exhausting burden of someone else's expectations. Think about your own life right now. You survived the initial shock of the broken word. You survived the terrifying moment when the illusion of certainty was shattered. Now, it is time to survive the quiet aftermath. You do not need an apology from them to finally find your peace. You do not need them to realize what they lost in order for your worth to be validated. Your value has always been whole, deeply grounded, and completely untouched by their inability to see it. Feel the solid ground beneath your feet. It is time to drop the heavy map. It is time to stop waiting for the fallen tree to move and start walking through the wide, open forest. You are allowed to take the broken pieces of that old, painful script and let the wind carry them away. You are allowed to forgive yourself for planting a beautiful seed in ground that was never meant to hold it. Trusting someone's word was not a weakness. It meant your heart was open, hopeful, and brave. Now, you simply must direct that same profound bravery toward the present moment. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.